Chobe Adventure. The story of our adventure at the Chobe Game Reserve in northern Botswana.
Many, many years ago, my father arrived home. It was just before one of our trips to Botswana. And he arrived and said, "I've brought something that I hope none of us will ever need." And of course, it was a first aid kit.
I'm St Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building four-wheel drive trucks and travelling to the remotest parts of the world.
If I think about the kit we carry in our vehicles, two things are more often needed by somebody else, hopefully, than ourselves. And that, of course, is first aid kits and recovery equipment. How many times, for example, have you used your recovery equipment to help somebody else versus how many times have you used it to help yourself? With me, certainly far more to help other people. With first aid kits, it really is, we really hope we never have to use it. There was a time when this was extreme in nature. 1984, driving in my mate's old Range Rover, had one like mine, and we had followed a rally and we were coming back at night, crested a rise, to see in front of us what looked like a plane crash. It was a minibus taxi, 12-seater taxi carrying 16 people, had a head-on collision with a small Nissan. And immediately Mark said to me, okay, you know, his expression didn't even change. He was a doctor. His expression didn't even change. Mine was a complete look of horror. But he'd spent a lot of time in trauma wards and things like that. So he was, okay, well, we just get to work. It was a it was normal for him. And he said, "Can you help me?" And okay, I can try and help you. I'm a little bit squeamish, but not badly so. And he hung up a drip on the first person, the second person. He was going around kind of looking at all three occupants of the saloon car were dead. Of the 16 people in the minibus, my memory serves me right, 5 had passed away, and there were 3 or 4 in critical condition. I remember there was a small baby that had a nasty gash on its head, but it was okay, and its mother had survived, so they were together, and Mark would literally just walk over and say, "Okay, hold this, do this, do this," and I watched him put up 3, and he was carrying with him 3 saline drips, and he put them all up. Somebody stopped, he yelled at me and he said, "Tell them to find an ambulance." I remember running over to them saying, "There's nothing you can do here. He's a doctor. Call an ambulance." So this guy sped off. This was long before the days of mobile phones. And the ambulance arrived 30-ish minutes later. It wasn't that long. And we got back into the car and I was really taken aback. And Mark and I had a discussion about first aid kits. And he said, "Have you any idea what it's like?" He said, "It's only ever happened to me once, that I have been in a situation where I couldn't help somebody because I wasn't carrying the kit I needed to help them. Being a doctor, I can help people when they get injured. But if I don't have the kit, I can't help them." So then he would carry not just a first aid kit for us all. We did many fantastic trips together. He would be in charge of the first aid. We would all carry, but he would be he's the doctor, for heaven's sakes. His wife is doctor as well. They would be in charge of that. But what happens if they were injured? So we would also carry, but they would carry the saline drips. And he had a lot of space dedicated to first aid, because he said there is nothing more soul-destroying than arriving and not able to help somebody else. So my kit, first aid kit, has evolved over the years, and I've recently found a new one that I want to show you. I remember having first aid kits for as long as I've been driving four-wheel drive vehicles, and even early on I remember actually having them on display and having them somewhere in the vehicle where everybody knew where to get them, and I had one case I actually had a little sticker on a window. We've been given this very, very nice first aid kit from Outdoor Warehouse, and I saw this in a store just the other day and I thought, what a beautiful layout. And I opened it and I was absolutely amazed to see how well this thing is packed out. I'll hold it this way so you can see it better. How cleverly it's laid out. So everything is labeled. So for somebody like me that is not experienced with first aid, it suddenly became accessible. The quality of all of the pieces is good. I've seen, you know, first aid kits with kind of cheap rubbish in them, and this, all of this is really nicely put together and well labelled. And I think that is really impressive. So I went onto their website and I had a look, and they don't just do first aid kits. They go further than, they actually do trauma kits. And for example, this here is a CPR kit with a mask, gloves, skin cleaning wipes, adhesive dressings, and a little booklet that tells you how to use it. This one here, for example, snake bite, dedicated snake bite kit. So again, look how well that is laid out. Instructions, okay, what to do, cotton gauze swabs. These are no doubt pressure bandages. Yes, they are. There you go. And I used to teach rudimentary snake bite kit, snake bite reaction, snake bite. What would be the right word? How to treat people who have been bitten by a snake, and to some of our guides when I lived in the Okavango. So I know a little bit about it, and even an emergency blanket. Everything that you would need to, if necessary, save somebody's life. And look how well that is put together. I think that is remarkable. I think that so much thought has gone into these products. The last time I bought a dedicated for a first aid kit was in 2006. And I remember doing a review on it on the side of a salt pan with my good mate St Searle, who used to travel a lot with me, and he was actually a qualified paramedic.
Everybody can identify it as being a first aid kit, a big cross on it. You can place it in your vehicle where anybody can see it. I noticed it in Andrew's vehicle without him telling me about it.
He gave me a lot of useful information, and I added a lot to that particular kit, and only now, since getting this, have I retired that kit. This is their waterproof kit. So again, really, it's just one of their larger kits in a waterproof case. And this is their big kit. And again, let's have a quick squiz. See how well this is. Look at this. I mean, really, it is so well thought out. Ampules of no doubt saline, and even pockets for your own personal stuff. So you would have put your own personal medication. Where does one put one's own personal medication? And look at this fever scan, even telling the temperatures for cutting all kinds of things, bandages, clothes in an emergency, adhesive dressings, all the way to gloves, skin cleaning wipes.
waste plastic bag. I mean, even little things like that, because you can imagine these are designed for people of all walks of life that could be in all kinds of environments, in a factory, in the back of a vehicle, on a convoy, with people who are doing research in the wilderness, people working on the top of a high-rise building doing, you know, building work. I mean, all these different, the people that designed it obviously had to think, okay, where could these possibly be used? At sea, etc., etc. I do have a suggestion for an improvement though, and I hope this is taken in the light in which it's meant. Or maybe I've actually missed out. In fact, now it's like everything really. Once you've taken it out of the packaging, to get it back in is never quite as easy. So my suggestion is very simple. Stickers. First aid stickers. Give me some stickers so I can put on my vehicle, in my garage cupboard, in my workshop, in my aircraft. Give me some stickers so everybody around can know that's where this is. The last bit of which I think is so important and which I just love about these products, there's an app. All of the information inside here is on an app with indexing. So look at this here. So there's my burns. Okay, let's go to burns.
Yeah, Andrew, I remember that trip really well. I think that was in Botswana, and I think that was Kubu Island.
I'm going to build me a plane. I've got the cockpit and the landing gear, and I've just got to build me a fuselage.
We had a lot of fun with that expedition, and I remember doing that talk to camera about first aid equipment and medical stuff.
Add to this particular kit, I'd put in some big trauma bandages, the big ones like this.
The one thing I think that one needs to be aware of is that, and one thing that's caught me out, is that it's important that whoever is traveling with you in the vehicle knows exactly where the first aid kit is, and it should be accessible, or easily accessible. It should be right on top of everything and easy to pull from the bag. Another thing about the medical aspect of it is the medical preparedness. I think it's really important to be aware of what's happening around you, aware of the situation that you're in, and make yourself familiar with the dangers that you're going to encounter should you go into a particular area. And there's nothing wrong with asking friends, go onto YouTube, find out from people that have been there, that actually know what's going on in the area. And that will give you a shortcut into knowing what to take. You can learn from the mistakes that other people have made, and they will be happy to share it with you. As far as identifying the risks, I think it would be important to have a look and see the territory that you're going to cover. See where you're going, and you know, are you going to be experiencing snakes? Are you going to a territory where there are wild animals? And I think the focus should be more on preventative first aid than post treatment. You know, if you're going to have kids that are going to be running around a campsite, say for argument's sake in Botswana, I think they should be wearing shoes and long pants. So that if they do come across or do stand on a snake, the chances are reduced if the snake tries to bite them. So most of the first aid should be preventative. You should plan around it, have a look at the risks, find out from people who've been there. There's a lot of information available on the net from people who have traveled to these areas. There's an abundance of information. So know the territory, and it will give you a good indication as to what you're going to come across. You know, each country is different, each place is different with different types of risks, but there's a lot of information out there. As far as the medical kit goes, the basics sort of apply. Have a look and And for argument's sake, if you're going to go camping in Namibia, and you'll know how far away you're going to be from medical help, make sure that you've got the numbers that you can call, and then what you can also do is analyze the risks from there. You know, how many days away are you going to be from a hospital? Those kind of things. And then have a look at what you're going to be encountering. You're going to be cooking out in the bush. You're going to have gas. You're going to have fire. Burn shield is always a really important one that I always carry with me, right on top of everything. And the rest, and the other things that you might need are really basic stuff. So have a look at the lists of equipment that you can get. Tick them off. Calculate what you think you might need, and then just pack them. Make sure that you can get, if you're carrying burn shield, it's pointless having the burn shield at the bottom of a trommel somewhere where it's going to take you 2 minutes to get out. The whole object of a thing like burn shield is that if you can get that burn shield on the burnt part of the body within 20 seconds, the risk of the burn becoming severe and infection and things like that are increased tenfold. So the sooner you can get that wound cold and covered, the better. So maybe split up the first aid kit, have burn shield tucked under your visor, and your little visor in the vehicle or in the back. Have some burn shield tucked in the back pocket of your seat, and make sure that everybody knows where it is, so you can get the stuff out very quickly. If I can help you with some pointers as to what to put in your first aid kit, you can be looking at basic stuff for things like antihistamine, which would be for like bee stings and things like that. You can, and also for antihistamine will help if for an allergic reaction to pollen, hay fever. There's nothing worse than going sitting out in the veldt, sneezing your holiday away. You can look at things like tea tree for rashes. You can look at betadine. Betadine is a really good one. It's really potent. It works well. If you have a thorn that is really deep, you can put betadine on a plaster, and that will draw it out within 2 or 3 days. That splinter will work itself out. Needles are really important for little splinters and thorns that get stuck in. A good quality pair of scissors, a tweezer. That's a practical one that you can really grab a thorn out with. Tweezer's very handy. And then the rest of it is basic first aid stuff that I always carry a bit of saline with. That is the liquid saline that you can use to clean wounds. But really you shouldn't be further than 3 days or 2 days away from help, and you can probably cope with just about any eventuality that's going to come up there. It shouldn't be really life-threatening. It might be very uncomfortable, but barring a snake bite in the wrong area, I think you know, those are the things that are going to really get you down. And there's nothing you can really do unless you are a qualified medical doctor to administer the chemicals that you need to sustain life with a snake bite. So the best thing you can do with that is just avoid it. If you're going to go out into the wilderness, you can tell your kids, lecture them on where the snakes are going to hide, where they might be, and it's just basic common sense.